It's time to take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. And joining me via Skype is Sheson Kwade, Chartered Accountant and Public Affairs Analyst. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. All right, let's head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the blueprint. As next sacks Oshomole-led National Working Committee, Buhari says APC heading towards self-destruct. Governor Buni heads 13-man caretaker committee, pledges justice, fairness to all concerned. We'll move to the front page of the Daily Times now. Oshomole Gadum lose out as APC dissolves National Working Committee, names Governor Buni. Others as caretaker committee members, ratifies Edo Guba primary result. Buhari expresses worry over shifting loyalty, inconsistent leadership. On the front page of the News Direct, APC dissolves National Working Committee, appoints Buni, Oyetola, 11 others as caretaker committee. NEC meeting illegal. We are consulting our lawyers. That's the dissolved National Working Committee reacting to the decision made by the president there. Now, dissolution not targeted at Tinubu, Buni insists. Well, no victor, no vanquished, Giadum Momo principle. And to the front page of the national economy now, COVID-19, 17 banks to restructure loans granted individuals, businesses. Banking industry's total loan profile now 18 trillion naira. Nigeria's economy faces worst recession in 4 decades. World Bank. To the front page of the leadership newspaper, President Muhammadu Buhari reads Riot Act as Yobe governor takes over APC leadership. Serious consequence awaits recalcitrant members. President. APC state chairman backs sack of National Working Committee. Again, it's Obaseki versus Izeyamu for Edo governorship race. INEC clears 15 political parties for election. Under monarchs endorse Akeredolu for second term. And finally, now on the front page of the Daily Trust, APC crisis, Oshomole's camp malls court as Buni takes charge. A party heading for collapse. President Buhari speaking there, and lawyers differ on National Working Committee dissolution. How will run party Yobe governor Ita suspended. All right, Sheson, let's take this story that is on the front page of almost all the papers now, talking about the president's decision yesterday at the NEC meeting held for the party. Initially, a lot of persons were saying that the president was neutral and he wasn't reacting to the crisis that was going on in the party. And now the president seems to have come out tough, making tough recommendations. And he is, first of all, let's get your reaction to the president's decision, what he came up with and the resolutions reached so far.
Good morning once again, Vero, and thanks for having me. I think the position of the president at the meeting, the NEC meeting that was held yesterday, shows he has affirmed his position as the #1 card-carrying member of the party. He has put a position in place that we need to move the party forward as the ruling party. And my personal view, even though the legal people as their position to the injunctions, shows that he's been neutral. If we have two sides who cannot put themselves in order, all he needs to do is dissolve, which he has done yesterday, and set up another people to carry on the running of the secretariat so that where we can have peace and they can concentrate on the reason why they are elected, which is for governance. So I am of the opinion too that the president seems to be neutral. I think what he tried to do was the call for the meeting was just capitalized upon by the president to quickly swing into action and neutralize both parties so that we can have a focus on the next thing to do as a party.
But when you look at the recommendations reached, or the decisions reached rather, let me just quickly mention them. Withdraw all cases in court, dissolution of the National Working Committee, establishment of Caretaker Convention Committee, and the ratification of the gubernatorial primaries in Edo State. Do you see this as resolving the crisis in the party at this point? Because the dissolved National Working Committee members are looking at taking or instituting a lawsuit.
You see, we always say before you come together as an association or a party, you must have like minds. This that has happened, the leader has spoken that everybody should withdraw case, and I know what they will be seeking is internal democracy to settle issues within themselves. My people will say you can't go to court and come back to be friends. So if they are taking their issues to court to seek legal redress, it's like washing their dirty linens outside. And if you're saying that the call for service is the reason of administering some of these things, then why are we going to court? Can't we sit down? If a particular people are at the end of our fear and our focus is specifically for governance, all we need to do is to make sure that we work together and as a party deliver the promises that we have made to the masses, and we can move on. So for him saying that everybody should pull out every cases in court, I feel the party's concern should look at a broader view and a longer lasting relationship by coming together and listening to the president to move forward. Also on sustaining the primaries for Edo gubernatorial election, we all know that by Monday, INEC is going to close the registration of the candidates for the election. So if they don't ratify it, then will they go back for another primaries? That's not visible. So ratifying it and let it move on is for them to work together. You see, we keep asking ourselves, if the essence of governance is service, when you are somewhere, you don't really need to be at the end of affair or to be in position of that leadership. Follow what the leader is saying, and let's see how we can move together. The party should take preeminence over every personal or individual position. And that is the position of the leader, who is the president, that everybody should withdraw case. And I think people should just take it to that and seek internal resolution to move things forward.
But with the way our political parties are structured at this level of our democracy, you think that party supremacy can really take center stage or above personal interest?
That's where we found ourselves. We deceive ourselves when we are campaigning for election to say that we are there to serve the people. But you discover that everybody is just running to go to be or to hold a particular position for their personal interest, and it's giving us so much problem. That's why when they get there, it's pretty difficult to really hold them accountable, because majority of the things that they say are just to please the people and not what they really have in mind to do. And that's why we are having so much in terms of corruption, infrastructure decadence, and so many other things. Because if the reason why you promise to lead people is to offer service, you definitely want to go in line with what the party that is putting you on the platform is saying, and not your personal interest. So we just want to encourage our people that the essence of governance is service and not for personal thing. You discover that if you are there for personal interest, after a while you will leave. It's a matter of 4 years. When you leave 4 years, you will come back and meet us at the other side, and we'll definitely tell you whether you have done justice or not. And remember, the posterity will judge. Your children are there. We are going to make reference to it and tell you that even when your father have opportunity of leading us, he could not offer anything, and all the work that he has earmarked for you, where have you achieved anything with it? So we just want to encourage that we should allow party supremacy and selflessness to take preeminence when we are aspiring to be leaders, even in this nation.
All right, May Malabuli now is pledging to ensure fairness to all concerned. Are you confident that he will be able to achieve this?
To whom much is given, much is expected. He has given his words, and I'm sure he understands the problem the party is facing and what they tend to lose if there is no unity in the house. So he has given his words. We will watch from this side. For me, I have confidence that it will make deliverables and make the party to move forward. They are the ruling party, and all they need at this point in time is to work together to deliver the dividends of democracy that they have promised the masses.
And then again, the president talked about dire consequences for members who choose to ignore the direction, because he is concerned about issues of disloyalty and the likes. I wonder how you see this playing out at the end of the day.
I think the president will not do more of talking. We expedite action. There is no how you can be disloyal to your party or your leaders and you want to go scot-free. Some people have had it in time past, and it's all about what we've been saying, selfishness that override the reason for governance. So if president can match words, can match action with his words, that anyone who is found disloyal to the leader will be severely punished, and that is carried out, I think it will put a check on it. The bottom line, like I always tell people, is that if you cannot stick with the rules of the game, find your way out of it and go and make your own rules where you feel you can have it. They've all come together and they appointed the leader, who is the president, and I think they should obey the rules and be loyal to the party so that they can deliver the dividend that they promised us.
All right, your final words now.
My final words on this is that every party concerned in this should think of the long-term view and all the promises that they have given to the masses. There is no progress where there is disunity. In the midst of unity, progress and success, development here comes out. So let them work together, synergize things, obey the leaders, and be more loyal. Let them deliver the dividends that they have promised us, the masses, and let's see development, considering that we are in the period of COVID and the economy is really not smiling. So they need so much concentration to move on.
As NECSAC Soshomole led the National Working Committee, Buhari says APC heading towards self-destruct. Governor Buni heads a 13-man caretaker committee, pledges justice, fairness to all concerned. And we move to the front page of the Daily Times now. Oshomole Giadum lose out as APC dissolves National Working Committee, names Governor Buni, others as caretaker committee members, ratifies Edo Guba primary result. Buhari expresses worry over shifting loyalty, inconsistent leadership. On the front page of the News Direct now, APC dissolves National Working Committee, appoints Buni, Oyetola, 11 others as caretaker committee. A NEC meeting illegal. We are consulting our lawyers. The National Working Committee reacting there. The solution not targeted at Tinubu, Buni insists. No victor, no vanquish. Giadum, Momo, Princewell. To the front page of the National Economy, COVID-19, 17 banks to restructure loans granted individuals, businesses. Banking industry's total loan profile now 18 trillion naira. Nigeria's economy faces worst recession in 4 decades. World Bank. We'll be looking at that story shortly. And on the front page of the Leadership newspaper, President Muhammadu Buhari reads Riot Act as Yobe governor takes over APC leadership. Serious consequences await recalcitrant members. President, APC state chairman back sack of National Working Committee. Again, it's Obaseki versus Ize-Iyamu for Edo governorship race. INEC clears 15 political parties for election. Under monarchs endorse Akeredolu for 2nd term. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Trust, APC crisis, Oshomole's camp, more squad as Buni takes charge. Our party heading for collapse, Buhari lawyers differ on National Working Committee dissolution. How will run party Yobe governor there? All right, let's look at the story on the front page of the national economy now, talking about the impact of COVID-19 on banks, making them having to restructure loans granted individuals and businesses. What do you make of this move by about 17 banks at this point? Are there implications to this?
The step by the bank is inevitable, knowing fully well the problem COVID-19 has brought to the world, not just only in Nigeria. And you know, before COVID, I'm sure at the beginning of the year, there are so many loans being applied for by individuals and banks to support their businesses. But since March, we discovered that businesses has actually gone nosedived, and most people are not able to meet up with some of those things. So restructuring some of those loans is inevitable, is what is expected. Otherwise, you would just say that the businesses and the individual who has actually collected the loan, we have accumulated interest for a period when they are able to repay some of this loan, which will be huge burden on them and even the survival of it. You and I know that since March, most organizations have not had 100% production since then. Also, after the ease of the lockdown, majority of the people has resulted to the new normal. And part of the new normal is people now work from home. Productivity it's not increasing because of the certain rules stipulated by the NCDC for social distancing and required number of people that are expected to be at the production floor for the manufacturing company. So you discover that putting all these things together, most of the people who have applied for loan to actually make the business to survive needs restructuring for them to be able to flow in the business.
But then how will this ensure that the financial institution or the financial system is stable and preserved?
The fact remains that CBN has its policy to oversee the activities of the bank, and if need be, there will always be a cushion effect from the federal government even to the banks, as we are doing to private individuals too, because we discover that what they are supposed to earn to cushion their operating expense will definitely be dwindling, because the major business that some of these people do is via this loan that they give to people, but the interest on it are some of what they recoup to manage the business. And with this, we know it's definitely going to affect them, and we know there are policies stipulated by CBN to make sure that banks does not nosedive or go down the drain because of the depositors' funds.
All right, let's look at what the World Bank is saying now, saying that Nigeria's economy faces worst recession in 4 decades. It says in 2016, we're yet to get over the recession that we faced in 2016, and now the pandemic has brought us to facing another economic challenge that might lead to the worst recession in 4 decades. And it's looking at how the possibility of government responding, having an unprecedented response to this challenge. What would that be from your point of view?
From my point of view, what bank is saying the right thing, and it's not only applicable to Nigeria. The whole world, as we speak, are actually going to, some are already in recession. We are too. So they've actually just tell us what we are expecting or what we are experiencing. What we expect the government to do is to look in the area of cost of governance. The cost of governance as far as this country is concerned is really on the high side. How can we streamline it to make sure that we give room for businesses to grow? You know, we are import based. Everything that has to do with this part of the world is importation. How can we, you know, in the last few months, it's been pretty difficult for people to bring things in. So everybody is looking inwardly. So part of the things we expect the government to do is to develop our infrastructure in order to give room for business survival. Take the aspect of power, where we have good power supply. You have both the formal and the informal sector making businesses, good roads, where people can, even if you are diversifying from oil, go into other businesses and they can make money for themselves, in turn pay good taxes for government to get their revenue. So what we are asking the government to do at this time, they did it in 2016 when we were in recession. And again, I know the economic think tank headed by the vice president will definitely swing into action. They've started that. But what we need is cost of governance must be streamlined. We are spending so much, and wastages must be curtailed so that some of these funds can be diversified into production. A country that cannot produce anything, that is import based, it tends to, you know, going down seriously. So we want to just admonish our government to make sure that they create an enabling environment for business survival, which in turn will improve the economy of the nation.
And so this issue also begs the question, because before now, the government has been talking about diversifying the economy and looking away from oil, because at this point, as we speak, the prices of oil has nosedived, if we may use that word. And so some have come up to say perhaps that diversification agenda is not, has not really been able to do what is expected if we are still being faced with an unprecedented, what has been called unprecedented economic downturn.
Yeah, the diversification is just coming up briefly. We've not done the business, you know. We have agricultural sector that we expect the government is doing the little they can do, but we discovered that the political will must be there, and we must have strict monitoring team for every of the sector that will be diversifying into. You see, in this part of this country, in this part of this world, this country particularly, we have good policy. Our problem is always implementation. When some of these policies are put to paper and you go through them, it's like you are going to transform this country within 6 months. But you discover that when we get to implementation, because of the personal greed of some of our leaders, you discover that some of those things does not see the light of the day. So all we want to do is that government should make sure that as they bring out some of this policy for diversification to other sectors, there are strict monitoring. And if you have deviance from the set rules that are not complying to it, there should be strict punishment for them. You discover that so much funds are invested in other sector, but it doesn't see the light of the day. And people that actually got those money, they just go scot-free without doing anything. So we feel that government should intensify more in monitoring some of the implementation that they are carrying out on the diversification policy, and we'll all be better for it.
Shaswan Kwande, thank you for speaking with us.